Hello, welcome to today's Tribe Live Vlogmas. My name is Jamal Fomado, and on Tribe Live Vlogmas, I try to, in under 5 minutes, provide you with quick tips and actionable steps that can help you move your life in the direction of your dreams so that you can be everything that God has called you to be and thrive in it. And today, I'm just going to share with you 5 favorite ways of mine, 5 favorite ways I love to save time, and I hope this inspires you. The first is I like to plan ahead. The truth is that I know that sometimes people think that planning takes a lot of time, but planning actually saves your time, because planning gives you the clarity to be able to identify exactly what you need to achieve and make a plan for it. But I don't just plan, I plan and I prioritize. I plan, I prioritize, and I size. So I plan, I write down the things I want to do, I prioritize them based on what must come first, I size them, and then I make sure that, which is the next point, that there's a time block on my calendar for it. So the second way that I save time is I make sure that there's a time block on my calendar. So I work with time blocking. Everything must have a space. The things that I want to get achieved must have a space on my calendar to be achieved. I'm not just going to leave it to, okay, this is what I want to achieve, and I just go about my day hoping that someday I'll find it, sometime I'll have the time to do it. No, it must have it. So I make sure that I have time block. When I have time block, it actually saves me time, because I'm actually now able to do the stuff. Now what happens is that if I don't have a time block and for some reason I'm not able to, that task keeps getting postponed, and as it's getting postponed, it's encroaching on time I could use for other things. But when I time block, I'm able to make out that time and able to do the things I need to do and finish up with the tasks and move on to other things. Now my third favorite way to save time is to batch similar tasks. When I'm doing tasks that are similar, I love to do them together. For example, if I'm doing a morning routine, it's just best that I do everything together. Doing something that has to do with family, I like to batch it all together. Like usually, for example, dinner, when I make dinner, is also the same time I make sure that the kids have their bath, they brush their teeth, we pray as a family, they're ready for bed. Sometimes the kids might not even be ready to go to bed at that time. For example, if it's a Friday night where we allow them stay an hour or two up later, but I make sure that I batch everything together. That way I know that those tasks are done, and it's not encroaching in time for any other thing. So that's another favorite ways of saving time. I batch similar tasks. Now the next one is that I make sure that I minimize distractions. The fourth way, I minimize distractions. When I make a plan, I try to look at the things that could cause possible distractions for me and find a way to minimize them. And even when I get into working on the task, I make sure that I am working in focused hours and my notifications are off and all those things, and I deep dive into the thing that I need to do. And also, if something is not important, like for example, I try to say when I'm working on something very, very important and my kids are around, I'll be like, you know what guys, mommy is doing this right now, mommy needs this particular time. If you need anything and it is not very urgent, can you wait till mommy calls you? Of course, I usually make sure that they're engaged, they have a book they're reading or something that they're doing, and then we have an agreement. I can't tell you though that it always works, because what I consider important for them to call me and what they consider important doesn't always align, but largely it helps, because over the days, they're increasingly understanding that, okay, this thing is something I can solve by myself. I don't really need to call mommy's name, and all that. So I just try to minimize the distractions. And the fifth one is that I try to delegate or I outsource. So there are some things that you don't have to necessarily do by yourself. I always say that there are 4 levels of leverage, in life. There is the no leverage, which is something that you don't know how to do, that you don't like to do it. Those things are very frustrating. If you can, it's best that you delegate them or outsource them to someone that can do it and who you can pay. Now, sometimes people will be like, oh, I don't have that money. If you should be at a place where if you don't have time, you should have money to be able to gain more of your time. And if you don't have money, then maybe you would have the time. But don't be in a place where you don't have time and you don't have money. Like, it's not a nice place. Of course, the goal is to have money, and still have time, but when somebody doesn't have time and they don't have money, it's not a really, really nice place to be in. But that's discussion for another day. Basically, no leverage. Then mid leverage is where you know how to do it, right? But you don't like doing it. So even though you don't like it, but you know how to do it, and you just do it because you need to get it done. If possible, delegate those things too. Now, the high leverage is you know how to do it and you like doing it. Not so much, but it's okay. If you can, as much as you can, dedicate those, especially if you find someone who can do it as good as you. Then the thrive leverage is where you know how to do it and you love it. But when you start doing it, you get lost in it. And now I know that a lot of people might not be able to be in that place where they can work only in their thrive leverage, but the goal should be towards high leverage, thrive leverage. Bottom line, the things that are mid leverage and low leverage, work towards a time when you can actually dedicate them. And that was my 5th favorite way of saving time. I trust this helped. See you in the next Vlogmas. Thank you. Bye.